USD 501 recess into executive session for 60 minutes pursuant to the personnel exception of the Kansas Open Meetings Act to discuss confidential personnel matters to protect the privacy of the individuals discussed. USD 501 recess and the board will return to open session in the boardroom at 6:31 PM. The superintendent and executive staff are invited into executive session.
Thank you, Dr. Schumacher. Do we have a second? Dr. Beeson seconds. Any further discussion? All right, let's go to a vote.
And the vote is open. Thank you. All votes are in and the motion carries.
Thank you, everyone. All right, everyone. Good to see everybody. We are back in the meeting and we are ready to resume with the Pledge of Allegiance.
All right, and it is wonderful. We have Miss Renee Easter. She's our Senior of the Month. She's also a state winner from Ed Rising. And just this week, I saw her at the National Honor Society welcoming in the new inductees. Will you do the Pledge of Allegiance for us? All right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. So at this point, I'm looking for a motion for the adoption of the agenda.
I move the board adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you, Dr. Schumacher. Do we have a second? Mrs. Bowley seconds. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, we will go to a vote.
And all votes are in and the motion carries.
Thank you so much. All right. We are ready for school highlights.
We're going to start with students first. Can we show the video of Miss Renee Easter, our Senior of the Month? Now, Miss Easter, I had on gold a few minutes ago, but I knew better seeing Miss Watson in here. Miss Watson's going to come forward as that video gets started. And then after tonight, that video will be live and it'll be shown on YouTube all throughout the community. And I'll turn it over to Mr. Reiner.
Hello, my name is Renee Easter, and I'm a senior at Highland Park High School. I've been involved with many sports, wrestling, tennis. I'm also doing ROTC, and I have been for the past 2 years in teaching as a pathway as a profession.
It is super exciting to watch Renee as she's excelled in pretty much every single thing she's done. She's involved in sports, she's involved in academics. She goes above and beyond to be a part of whatever she can be a part of.
Renee is one of the single brightest and most hardworking students I've ever had the pleasure to work with. Always respect what she has to say. You know, I can tell that when Renee has something to contribute to discussion, everyone else is listening and paying attention.
You know, everyone talks about Highland Park as a family, and we look out for each other. And I would say that she embodies that in every aspect that she's in. For her, it's not just the academics, it's not just the sports, but she takes care of those around her. She shows that she cares.
I do want to be a teacher, but more so as outside of my career path. I'd want to become a speech language pathologist or a occupational therapist specializing in pediatrics. But I'm still weighing my options. I want to go to K-State, but I also am looking at Wichita and KU as well.
When she was top 10 in the nation and knowing she wants to go into education, you just feel so proud. I know that's all her, but it's part of Highland Park also. She really has a passion for it, and she really picks up on what students need. And that's something that I've seen her do, where she recognizes that a classmate needs help and she just jumps right in and does that.
Stay curious. You know, treat every day as an opportunity to learn something new. Even when you're no longer a student, that doesn't mean that you're not still learning. In fact, I learned something new from students like Renee and her classmates every day.
The world is your oyster. There is no ceiling too high. Just keep reaching for your goals because you're going to achieve them all. Keep excelling and keep trying new things, because I think that she's going to find more as she goes to college and as she gets older. I want her to keep trying new things.
Thank you so much for believing in me and giving me this chance. Just keep pushing. You guys got this, and we're going to make it out of here and do good things with our lives.
Welcome, Miss Easter. We're gonna take another photo later. We're gonna go by your principal. She's gonna say a couple of comments, and I think she has a gift for you. Yes.
So I have to say that the gift, we decided to go a little different. Normally, we will do a college gift, but she's still undecided. So we did something a little fun for you. So I'm going to hand this over to you. You can let everyone see. So we did like a little starter kit with like the top-notch pens and Post-its and everything that she could use from here on out. And once she is decided, then we're going to go back and do the college stuff also.
Nice. Welcome, Miss Easter. Thank you for being here. It is really, really exciting to learn a little bit more about you and some of your background. And it really sounds like you have a heart for giving back and lifting other folks up around you. And that's we need more leaders like you to continue to move us forward. I was going to ask, and all of the things that it listed that you're interested in doing and that you have done. One of the things that piqued my curiosity was the wrestling. and I have one of my daughters, Olivia, goes to she's a senior at Topeka High, and she also did wrestling. So just curious, I don't know that I've met another young lady wrestler in high school like yourself and her. What was the draw for you? What was it about doing wrestling that really piqued your interest?
Well, I mainly just did wrestling in the beginning as like something fun, be the first in my family to be a wrestler. And I'm very known for like doing all the sports that my school can offer almost. I haven't done about like 4 sports, and I don't think I will be doing that because I feel like I'm not any good and I just embarrassed myself. But yes, wrestling was mainly as just like, why not try it? And I felt like it was very fun.
Good. I think that was her attitude exactly. I don't think she was planning on being a career wrestler, but I think she like you and she just wanted to try it out and see how it worked. So very good. Well, congratulations on all of your accomplishments, and we look forward to seeing good things come from you.
Thank you.
Other board members, Dr. Schumacher.
Congratulations, Miss Easter. We saw a lot of the support in the video at school, but a lot of times our seniors of the month, their support at home. And I suspect there's somebody here who's doing some photography. If you could introduce and just tell us a little bit about that support.
So the lady that I brought with me today is my grandmother, Miss Rosalind Carr, and I've known her for how many years? Ever since I was.
He first came to me, was this Girl Scout leader and mentor for her sister. And so it's kind of like I became grandma.
Yes.
Okay. So
Yeah. I've known Miss Carr a long time too, so I know that she definitely takes other young women under her wing. And I'm glad to see you are also one of them. Mr. Munoz?
Congratulations again, Ms. Carr. So it takes a lot of different individuals to help a student be successful. I wonder if you could speak to educators in either at Highland Park or other places who helped you get to where you're at today.
Yes, so I want to give like special thanks to like Mr. McKnight as well, because I know back then, especially like pre-pandemic, I like struggled with math and I didn't like believe in myself that I can achieve like a higher, I don't know what it's called for the CAP assessments or the state assessments on Scantron, but I just know I was kind of like staggering in between the developing and kind of like intermediate, especially in middle school. And when I got transferred into his class, I like after the first year and we took the test, I got into like advanced, and it was like the first time in my life that I felt like I understand math, I can do this. And he just kept pushing me, and it's just like teachers like him actually inspire others, not just me, and continue to do what you're doing.
Well, thank you all. Well, I'm glad. We love to hear music to our ears when we hear students who say, I worked hard with supportive teachers and I advanced on those levels there to advance. So congratulations again.
Thank you.
All right. Mrs. Bowley?
I've known you for a little while. I am just so impressed with your courage and your curiosity and your empathy. I heard in that video that when you see somebody in your class that is struggling or in your school that is struggling, you step up. Sounds like you already have a lot on your plate. What makes you move towards those people and try to help them when your plate is pretty full?
It's just me, honestly. I just feel like no one should be left behind. I feel like I should, do what I can to make sure that they feel comfortable and feel like they can also get the same things that I'm getting, and, feel the same love, comfort from not only their peers and from their family, teachers, all of that, and just know that they're seen and I'm with them.
We are just so proud of you. You are an example of students that we do want to roll out of our high schools to be into our society. You give us so much hope.
Thank
So thank you so much for everything you're trying already and thinking about for your career. We just are just so proud of you and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Dr. Beeson?
So I'm always excited to hear when a young person wants to go into a helping profession like teaching or speech pathology. I have two questions, I guess. Could you tell me why you're interested in something like that? And could you also explain to me, I saw in the video that maybe you placed nationally in a couple different categories, maybe along the lines of lesson planning?
Mhm.
Okay.
Doesn't matter which one I start with. Okay, so for the lesson planning one, I did lesson planning delivery in STEM. So I did a lesson about the water cycle, and I taught it to a class of fourth graders. I forgot the school, sorry. But yeah, it was definitely an experience, and I did again, obviously. I did fine arts for the next one, and I taught it at my local school, Ross Elementary, and it was to a group of third graders. Now for the fine arts one, I am not good at art, so I decided to I decided to step out of my comfort zone because I know being a teacher, you got to do things that you're not normally used to doing. And I said, okay, I'll go ahead and do art. And it turned out successful with a few little bumps in the road, but I'm pretty sure the children in the classroom enjoyed it. And to this day, I'm pretty sure most of them still have their masks that they made. Yes.
I bet they'll never forget it.
Yes. And for the speech language pathology, I'm a huge language nerd. So I felt like I wanted to see where language and also how like speech impediments can be applied to a person, and like um sorry how to get over that barrier. And I also felt like it's a good way to also give back to my community and like see how children of young age and older age can overcome their struggles and see how they blossom with that help.
I'm hearing a theme here. Very good.
Thank you.
Very lucky to have you in the district. Thanks for
Thank
being
you.
here tonight. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else? Okay, Dr. Bonebrake.
Sister, with your perseverance and persistence, you can accomplish anything. And I just keep wondering what your next step's going to be, because that may light your fire in a direction you don't even know yet.
Mhm.
So hang in there, have fun. We're proud of you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
And I believe grandmother was one of the administrators at Open Williams, am I correct?
Yes.
Former Topeka Public Schools administrator in one of the most historic buildings, so no surprise your impact. As we move on to our next congratulations, we're gonna, 20 under 40 just occurred, and I believe it's a night for videos. The 20 under 40 video probably captures a little bit more about Miss Tanner than what I might say.
Gabby is truly a model of excellence in educational leadership. You can easily see her love, energy, and passion for serving our community. Gabby is thoughtful when making decisions and is willing to seek advice as needed. She does not shy away from difficult conversations and is always willing to work alongside those she leads. Gabby is a strong advocate for families and works daily to eliminate barriers. She builds and maintains strong relationships with community partners to further support her students, families, and staff. I truly admire how Gabby can balance it all. She prioritizes her time well while always putting her family first.
Join me in bringing up Miss Gabby Tanner. All right, and it's probably best that I bring up Miss Sharp as well, because that really is the person that has helped guide and direct Miss Sharp. I don't normally bring others up here, but Miss Sharp, you've already said several comments about Miss Tanner. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, and I should probably hand this to you to congratulate her as well.
Well, Gabby's a natural. She, like I said in the video, is really thoughtful about the decisions that she makes and the way that she treats others. I think that she had an example earlier this year where there was an incident at Sheldon that was a pretty big emergency, and under Gabby's leadership, the staff bounced into action and handled it beautifully. And after that, Miss Wallace said to me, "You should have seen the way she was praising her staff. It was really beautiful." So Gabby's done it all on her own. I'm super proud of her and thankful to have her as one of our principals.
They'll have questions for you. You all have seen her many times because you've heard her daughter that speaks just like her. And then Miss Tanner, as you know, is over both Pine Ridge and Sheldon, and she is unusually gifted in so many ways. We'll turn it over to the board.
All right. Congratulations, Mrs. Tanner.
Thank you.
This is a big honor. I've always been jealous of the 20 under 40 group because they didn't start it till I was like 41 or 42. So I have to live vicariously through folks like you. So congratulations.
My girls like to tease me that I'll only be under 40 for just a little bit
A
longer.
little bit longer. Well, I'm only 43 now, so no. But you can tell me that if you want to. Board members, questions, comments? Dr. Schumacher?
I just wanted to say, as a former 20 under 40
Rub it in.
award winner,
Doctor.
no longer eligible. Maybe talking a little bit, because I know the application process, it's arduous. So maybe a little bit like kind of what the award means to you and kind of the importance of it.
Absolutely. And it is a challenging application process. And I think I found it so challenging because I don't speak to my own strengths. I don't brag about myself. And so I found myself as I was working through that, struggling to highlight my own attributes there. And what it really came back to me at the end was it's my teams. It's the people that I've been blessed to work with along the way and my family that has really led to any success that I may have. The incident Ms. Sharp spoke to, it was amazing the way that my staff was able to jump in, and everybody played a really big role in making sure that an emergency situation was settled, kids were okay, and everything really was handled well that day. So it just speaks to the people that I have behind me really have led to any success that I may have. And I'm very thankful for all those I've been fortunate enough to work with.
Mrs. Bowley?
It has been such a pleasure to work with you on several occasions, but at Sheldon Head Start, and it's such a pleasure to visit your building. I know you've been in some leadership at different age groups. What does it mean to you to be a preschool?
Being a preschool principal is the best job I've ever had. I could stay here forever. I told Ms. Sharp that a couple years ago. Don't move me anywhere. I'm really happy where I am. I taught fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, and second grade for 1 year, and the little ones weren't for me. What my teachers do every day, they are superheroes. But I could principal this all day long. It is the best job. They bring so much joy, and we had principal for a day today. And so I had two gentlemen with me from Fellowship Bible, and getting to walk around my school with them, I know that they felt that as well. And these little people have so much to bring. It's just an amazing experience.
Thank you for inviting me at your special table at your award ceremony. I felt very honored to sit with your family. Thank you.
Thank you for being there. They enjoyed meeting you.
Okay, turn it back over to you, Dr. Anderson.
I am so excited. Now, you've heard from this person, but you may not remember Mrs. Schaefer. You've heard from her many times because she has many students who've become Senior of the Month. And they credit her for their abilities and accomplishments. And you've seen her on video. I don't know that they've seen you in person too many times, but students get to pick one teacher that makes that impact. Mr. Dick's going to come up and share why she's here. And what one of the systems and programs we have in Topeka Public Schools is unique in so many ways. But without sharing much more information about the Ed Equity Lab, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Dick, and then he will help honor Ms. Schaefer. Mr. Dick.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. So a couple of things real quick about Ms. Schaefer. So we do the National Equity Lab courses at Topeka High. We offer a couple of courses each semester from some fairly prestigious universities around the country, Stanford being one of those. And we actually do very well with Stanford. Ms. Schaefer and I actually got invited to go to Stanford earlier this year and work with a group there on redesigning education as part of this program. And she does exceptional work. And Topeka High is really recognized nationally as one of the best high schools at doing Equity Lab courses. And that really is because of Ms. Schaefer. She's the one that does all of the work and makes this and our students very successful. She makes us look good. And so she was honored from the National Equity Lab this year with an award, and it's kind of long. Yeah, I got to read it. Sorry. Oh, it's not on here. Oh, yeah, it is. Sorry. Equity. So she is the National Equity Lab's Interdisciplinary Impact Award winner for this year. And so she spoke to everybody in the country the other night on a Zoom about this as she accepted the award. So congratulations.
I'm going to turn this over for questions from Ms. Schaefer. Mrs. Wallace will just share very briefly, what is Equity Lab? I know you're probably wondering, and how did we get it? And then we'll turn this over to Ms. Schaefer to answer some questions.
So yes, about 5 years ago, I got an email from the National Equity Lab, and they offer college level courses to our students at a significantly discounted rate from tier 1 universities, Stanford, Howard. There are multiple universities. And so our schools are able to select from a list of courses that they want to offer each semester. And then Title I, federal dollars, pay the tuition for the students who take those courses.
And this was partially developed out of COVID, and those colleges came together and thought, how do we give students that are in underserved communities greater access to our college? And so we signed on, and the rest is history. And she's had many students accomplish great things under her. And Ms. Schaefer, are there any other comments you want to help the board know about Equity Lab and Ed Equity Lab and how many students?
Sure. So the reason that I was awarded this is because I have the most variety of courses that's been offered across the country with the highest success rate. So at Topeka High, we've offered 8 different courses over the last 3 to 4 years. And we offer courses from highly selective universities. One issue that we have in the Midwest is that we are incredibly underrepresented at selective universities on the coasts. You think about equity, and you often think about indicators like socioeconomic status or race. However, geographically, the Midwest is incredibly underrepresented because we are geographically isolated from the East and West Coast. So the founder of Equity Lab is a civil rights attorney, Leslie Cornfield, believes that opportunity is equally talent is equally distributed across the country, but that opportunity is not. And so our goal was to increase opportunity and exposure. One of my former students that many of you may know, McCall Beal, matriculated to Wesleyan University in Connecticut, partially due to her exposure through Equity Lab to a Wesleyan University course. And you'll be happy to know that she is actually taking a second course from that same professor this fall and has been doing really well at Wesleyan. So, and I have a couple of kiddos that are trying for Stanford this fall. So it's been a really rewarding for me to see students who maybe don't know that they can be successful at the university level, start in a safe environment like high school. I serve as the co-teacher, and then the college delivers the curriculum. We Zoom once a week with teaching fellows that are usually graduate students. So they get that one-on-one time with the teacher in addition to the online model. And it's been really successful and really rewarding as a teacher because I'm a lifelong learner and I get to learn along with the students, which I really love.
So, Ms. Schaefer, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm racking my brain. You are one or more of my kids'.
I have a story about Alex.
Okay, it was Alex. You have a story about Alex.
Yes.
Okay, would you like to tell me privately?
No.
Okay.
So I had her for 8th grade math.
Okay.
100 million years ago.
100 million years ago. That's right.
And it was my first year at Jardine and one of my first years teaching. And it was very hard for me to teach 8th graders math, believe it or not. And at the very end of the year, she wrote me a letter about how I had helped her come to appreciate math and love math and learn that she was good at it. And it was very redeeming and rewarding because sometimes you can feel like you're talking into the void. And we stayed in touch through high school. And then I see Olivia all the time.
Oh, good.
These
Okay.
days,
I knew I
yeah.
was associating you with
Yeah,
two of
yeah.
my kids.
Yeah, yep.
That's awesome. I will definitely tell Alex that story.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah, very good. Thank you so much. Fellow board members, question, Mr. Munoz?
You know, equity is a great challenge that all school districts are challenged with and working on. I'm interested why this is important to you, because it seems like students are challenged through these courses and they come out of it with a sense of accomplishment, a sense of confidence. And that's really a great tool to be able to bestow to students going out into the world. But why is this work important to you?
Oh gosh. Well, so I am the second generation in my family to achieve beyond high school. So my dad is the first person in his family, not only to graduate high school, but to go to college. And so I have new relatives that when we go home to Leavenworth, I can see the difference in the trajectory of the lives that they've lived. They're harder. It's hard. It's hard when you don't finish college or high school. And so I know that education is an equalizer and that when you have a family that maybe doesn't have exposure to that, it's really hard to figure out next steps. So for many of our students who are first generation college students, getting that exposure to college in high school and them seeing, oh my gosh, I can do this and I'm successful at it is such an empowering thing. It's really, really wonderful to see the students believe in themselves, know that they can achieve, and then move on to take those next steps at university or in some kind of post-secondary field. Yeah.
I just wanted to thank you there's lots of individuals in our school district who do it in different ways, and this is your way. So I want to thank you for that.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Dr. Beeson?
Hi, I have a couple of questions. First of all, I guess in Shawnee County and Kansas, do we know how many other districts take part in anything like this?
I do not know how many high schools. You do have to be Title I eligible,
Okay,
not necessarily a Title I school, but eligible for title.
okay.
In Shawnee County, we are definitely the only district
Sure.
that has Equity Lab, and I'm not sure about Kansas, but for sure in Shawnee County.
Locally.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to know that this exists. Do you love your job? It sounds so wonderful.
It's not the only thing I do. So
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
also one of the gifted facilitators
you are?
at Topeka High.
Okay,
So this
very
has been a
good.
newer part of my job is taking this on. My former principal just kind of thought I would be the right fit, and it's been really good.
That's amazing. Well, thank you for what you do. My last question is, how is it that students enroll in this program? What's the process for that?
Sure. So these courses, part of the reason I got the interdisciplinary impact is that I try to bring in courses that we wouldn't typically offer at the high school level. So philosophy, criminal justice, environmental justice. We did a planetary geology course, which was super fun a couple years ago from Wesleyan, and the professor was actually like would go to like she'd Zoom with us from NASA and that kind of stuff. But so I try to bring in courses that we wouldn't typically offer, but that would also kind of fulfill maybe a requirement for high school. So like bioengineering for next semester for Stanford, that could also be a student's science credit. We do have an application process, and we look for a GPA of 3.5 or higher. It is a weighted like honors level course on the transcript. And so I actually, one of the ways that I found our students to be successful is that I interview each student after they apply to make sure that they're the right fit for the program, because it is the same as the college courses. So the professors have the same expectations. They don't accept late work. There's no, it's very much how it is at the college level, the same syllabus. And so I just want to make sure that kids are going to be successful and that they're prepared. I interview each student, and we are open to sophomores, juniors and seniors with a 3.5 GPA who have shown success in honors coursework and that kind of thing.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
your work.
Dr. Bonebreak.
Sometimes when somebody's so good at something, people don't really notice. And I'm glad you're finally getting recognized.
Thanks.
But you have changed many lives, and you just make it seem so easy. I don't know how you do that. It's
Yeah.
difficult.
I truly believe this is my vocation.
Okay.
All right.
All right. I think thank you again.
Thank you.
And that final acknowledgement is our basketball program. Every year we honor Gibbs Elite Basketball Academy. I know the coach is here who runs that at Chase and involves many young people. I'm sure her mom, Councilwoman Ortiz, is in the background as well. You want to come on up and let's turn this microphone on over to you to share a little bit about the program. Ms. Gibbs?
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. We meet again. So I did write a little something this time so that I didn't forget anyone or leave anything out. We are approaching year 5 of this camp. So with that being said, I'm beyond excited because I was told that it wasn't going to make it through year 1. And so to be able to celebrate that milestone and share that with the youth of Topeka, specifically our 501 students, I'm just beyond excited, just to see the smiles on their faces. It brings joy to me, to my coaching staff. And I apologize, my voice is raspy. I actually was late because I am coaching at Chase and we just finished our game. And of course it would run over. So I apologize for us being late, but the job is never done. That's how I look at it. Again, just seeing the joy of the kids, that's what brings me joy. Just instilling discipline and accountability. And that's what our camp is big on just showing the kids love, embracing who they are. You know, each one is individual. They're all individuals in their own little way. They all bring something different to the table. Like I said, last year, I don't know how many will be WNBA players or NBA players, but I'm hoping that they are better students and better young ladies and young men when they leave our camp. We have students that have attended all 4 years. I think that says a lot. They want to be there. They want to be a part of something. We want them there. And some of them, they don't continue on with basketball beyond middle school, but when I see them out in public, the reward is, hey, coach, I'm working on my game. Hey, coach, I'm working on my attitude. Hey, coach, I'm doing better at home. Hey, coach, my communication skills, I'm not as nervous as I was last year. Hey, coach, remember camp? I met some of those kids and now we hang out. So we are building the 501 family, not only on the court, but off the court. That's what the goal was. Dr. Anderson, Dr. Gray and Mr. Larry Robbins, you guys took a chance and you believed in me. And so I took that serious, and the kids see that. And so when they see that someone believes in them, they push to be better. Are they going to make mistakes? Absolutely. Are they going to fail? Absolutely. But like I tell them, it's like missing a shot. You come back and you keep shooting. You turn over the ball, you come back and you go harder. You get it back on defense. And so we take the things that we're teaching them on the court, and we hope that they're taking it with them home to the classroom to work. Some of them are working, and then when they go home. It's awesome to hear a lot of the parents say, I see a difference in my kids. I see their confidence grow. It's not just about basketball with us. This is our way to just get them in the door. We are bringing in people from the community, the police department, fire department. We have so many different partners that are coming in and that want to be a part, and they're targeting our kids. Our kids, and I'm saying our kids because they're all of our kids. It takes a village. And so the coaches that I bring in, they are all affiliated with 501. They're either former players, former teachers, they are former students, and they come in and they're excited to give back. They love the game of basketball. And I lay out the map and I say, this is the plan. We are going to teach them things, but we want them to be able to utilize basketball in a positive way. I have a student, I'm going to kind of say this, Spalding. I have a student at Chase. His reward is we play one-on-one. We play a game of horse. His behavior is up and down, but he looks forward to that. And so if that's what it takes, is for me to walk away sore and sweaty to get him to act right in class and make it through the day, it's a win-win. Has he beat me? No, and I will not allow that. And I did invite him. I said, hey, you need to be at camp. So, you know, has his game improved? Yes. I get the guys that are, you're a girl, so I can beat you. Come on. But you got to act right in class. We have the girls that are just like, hey, I want a challenge. So it's bigger than basketball. That's just the invite. Okay. We got to get them in the door. And that's what we're doing. The kids eat and they eat. Okay. Everyone has a background. Everyone's struggling, whether it's with behavior, whether it's financially. You know, we have a lot of grandparents raising their grandkids right now, and I hear a lot of stories. I had one in particular, not trying to brag or anything like that. A mother came to me and she said, my son lost an aunt that was very close to him. He gave up on basketball. She was his biggest cheerleader. Me and his father could not get him to play basketball. Your camp came along. He is an 8th grader at French Middle School. And she said, because of you and the program, he now is back in love with basketball. He is now back in love with school. He is now making new friends. Even kids that he went to school with and didn't know that existed, they are now friends. That was the goal. The goal was to build their confidence. The goal was to make sure that they're set on a pedestal and just know that they are loved, you know, and that's what's big with us. We do not charge for our camp. I have no plans to charge for our camp. This is something that I created because me and my friends did not have this growing up. And it's something that I wish we had. I look back, you know, a lot of my friends, and I say I lost friends to violence. I lost friends to prison and the system or whatever. If we would have had this in place, where would they be now? And would it have saved everybody? No, but it may have. So that's why I put so much into this camp. My staff is amazing. Dr. Anderson, again, thank you for everything. Dr. Gray, he is always there with the camera in one hand, running around, taking pictures over here and shaking hands over here. Mr. Robbins, man, that guy, he is awesome. I miss him, at least seeing him here right now, but he let me know that he was not going anywhere. He was not going to be far away. So just the support that he gave me and continues to give me. Principal Spalding, you know, I have to shout out the Chase staff, Principal Spalding, Principal Gay, Brenda Soldina, our cafeteria, Miss Maria and staff, they, whatever I need, they're not even back in the office sometimes. And they're like, hey, we'll come in. What do we need? What do you need? What do the kids need? The kids are welcome at Chase, and that's what they need. We have kids that are coming in from all over the city, all of our schools, and they are welcome at Chase. I let them know it's my gym. So when you come here, you better act right. But it's all respect. And it's awesome to see so many kids from all over the city unite. And they all know at the end of the day, we are all 501. I have to shout out my mother to you all. She's councilwoman, or Sylvia, that's mom. She does all my dirty work. I don't like paperwork and all that. She jumps on the phone and calls, hey, we need to feed the coaches. We need to do this. What can you do? What can you not do? She keeps me busy. We bump heads, but at the end of the day, it takes a team, and I think we do very well. All my coaches, I love all of them. They love the kids as well. I can't think enough. Brad, oh, I got to shout out, you know, Brad Lewis, Mike Surrey, Lewis Toyota. They're big supporters of us. They're big supporters of 501. They love our kids, and yes, they write checks, but they show up as well. And they're amazing partners. I'm grateful for them. They heard my vision and they fall in line with it, and they match us. And I'm grateful for them. I've had so many other people reach out just from across the country. I had a sponsor that said, hey, what girls need shoes? I got you. Never met, they just heard about our camp. It's not just here that people are hearing about camp. It's all out there. So I thank you guys for acknowledging us.
So we'd like to read kind of what we have here. The Topeka Public Schools District recognizes again 5 years, didn't realize it was 5 years, the Gibbs Elite Basketball Academy. And from hearing her, and it mentions at the very bottom, and you'll see it also on the screen for those that are watching online, thank you for your investment in middle school. Thank you for your investment in athletics. And from hearing you, Coach, we all ready to jump in and play a game of ball.
That's right.
But look, you are an extraordinary person. You and your mother, we know it's a family affair, but we just thank you from the bottom of our hearts, and we appreciate all that you do. Join me in thanking our
Ms. Gibbs, I want you to know, if you didn't know, I was principal for a day at your stomping ground earlier today, and I did not see you at Chase, and I was disheartened that I didn't run into you there. So I'm glad that you are here tonight, and we honor your contribution, and we celebrate everything that you do to build up our kids and to make our community better. Congratulations on 5 years, and keep up the good work. We are here to support you all the way.
Thank you.
You bet. Anything else from Mr. Munoz?
Ms. Gibbs, we've known each other for a long time. Something that you said stood out to me, which was that when I was younger, we didn't have that, right? And now we have something, right? Now we have another avenue amongst lots of different ways to be able to connect with students and hopefully instill with them those values that are going to be important and vital for them to be successful. So I just want to say thank you for seeing a cycle and jumping in and disrupting that cycle, because I think that's so important for us is to disrupt cycles for students and in hopes that in the future they won't say and they won't feel the same way that you felt when you went through at that same age. So thank you very much.
Mrs. Bowley.
So you're just such a great example in our district, and your love for our kids just really touches my heart. I would like to say that Dr. Anderson picked out Miss Tanner to present tonight, Miss Gibbs Miss Schaefer, even Miss Easter, that she picked out the best of the best in our district to come speak tonight. And you are all such great representatives for our staff and our educators during this education week. But I also know that you're just a great example for our district, but our district is so full of so many of you that care and reach out to our students when they need it. And I just want to thank all of you. You're such a great example for Education Week. And I just want to thank all of the rest of our district staff, because you're just that example of so many of our staff here at Topeka Public Schools. So thank you for being here, changing that trajectory, touching those lives, and being the coach that you are. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, if we can take a 4-minute break for photos. Miss Easter, can you come on up? And Miss Watson? Thank you so much for your patience. Let's just have you.
Oh, just gotta unfold the second. I'm losing. Oh my gosh.
You don't All right, and then Miss Schaefer, you want to come back? And I miss you. Get out. I saw you still sitting there. You called us, so we really have to. Let me come up to the All right, Ms. Gibbs, and I'm sorry, Mrs. Tanner. And Ms. Sharp, would you like to join this picture, Ms. Sharp?
You took it from Lemonwood? You took it from Lemonwood? I'm from Lansing.
Oh my God.
Yep. I'm not too out yet. So yeah, that's all. I love it.
You know.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right,
You gotta take a picture with us. Yes.
Councilwoman, come on up here. The shade screen.
Yes.
Right, you got everyone, all right.
Did I miss anybody? Thank you for your support. You're the first person. Yes. You're not, you're the first person. Make this thing.
Is that right? Okay. All right. We lost Dr. Anderson. We might. Is it okay? Yeah, well, yeah. Okay, so we are ready to move on to public comments, and it does not appear that we have anybody making public comments tonight from the
We
public.
have no one.
Say that again.
We have no.
We have no one. Okay, thank you. So then at this point, I'm looking for a motion for disposition of business by consent.
I move the board approve the items of business by consent as presented and authorize the board president or superintendent to sign the special project and purchasing contracts for and on behalf of the board.
All right, thank you, Dr. Schumacher. Do we have a second? Dr. Beeson seconds. Any further discussion on the motion or the items under the motion?
I had a question on,
Dr. Bonebreak,
on 12-1 and 15.
would you please use your microphone, Dr. Bonebreak?
This one's Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had a question about 12-1 and 15-1. The neighborhood revitalization program of the Menninger Clock Tower. Why are we doing that?
And then your other question as well, as Mrs. Whiteman prepares to answer that very first question.
This is about the
Transportation.
student transportation. I wondered if we could extend that to students that their parents had to move from one home into another grade school district, if we could transport them back to their school district, not just special education.
Okay, so we'll address the 15.1 transportation and we'll turn it over to Ms. Whiteman or
I believe that agreement is the chief's agreement, correct?
the transportation.
Right. I was standing for the revitalization district, so. But I'll let the chief go first.
And Chief Cochran, as you come up to the podium, I'll just stand off to the side for you.
So the question again, sir?
Well, that student special education transportation, I wondered if we could somehow extend that to, or what it might cost to transport children whose parents were evicted and had to move to another school district, another grade school. And so we could get them back to their original grade school so they wouldn't lose education time.
Yeah, so with transportation on that side, we are limited in capacity, and we are looking at contracts with a company that does provides those type of services. And so it is possible, but that would take some real planning. I'm not saying it's outside the realm of possibility, but the cost is also something that we'd have to take into consideration and where those
I'd like to
dollars.
know if we could maybe come up with an estimate, because there's a lot of children that move from school to school, maybe 3 different schools in a year, and they're losing a lot of education.
All right, so Dr. Bromberg will look into it and let you know if that's a viable option. Cost will be the issue, and we'll bring that back. Thank you for asking that. Ms. Whiteman, did you have a comment regarding the contract on 12-1, the neighborhood revitalization plan and the interlocal agreement between the city of Topeka and Topeka Public Schools?
Right. If the board will recall, on August 22nd, you had a presentation by the city, and the city presented their new revitalization plan. What you have before you tonight is a cooperative agreement between the city, the county, and the school districts And basically, it extends that revitalization plan for 3 years. And there are 21 separate projects that the city is working on to revitalize neighborhoods, bring in businesses. And most of those projects fall within the 501 school districts. So it's a economic development program that helps create better neighborhoods. And many of the projects have one of our 30 schools within that catchment area. But this is just the cooperative agreement that will extend that revitalization district for 3 more years.
How does a school district benefit from the Menninger Clock Tower, which is clear out in the boondocks compared to other schools?
Well, that may be one of the 21 projects that may not be entirely within our district, but the concept of the legislation that was approved by the legislature allows local governments, cities and counties to establish these revitalization districts. And basically what it does is they describe the territory or ground with a property description, and then any increased valuation they will use to fund the changes that are needed and make the neighborhood or area a better place to work and for many of our students live. And that way it's directly helping to improve the neighborhood and the business opportunities within the district.
What does it cost the school district?
I think
It's property tax rebate.
it is a rebate. They take the current, let's say the clock tower, they'll take the current assessed valuation, and then over the years with this revitalization district, any increase in that valuation, let's say it was $100,000 and next year it increased to $120,000, they would take that $20,000 and help use that for the enhancements to the property and trying to bring it up to become an area where people want to live and work. And I think Mr. Menke, several, I know meetings ago, talked about what it costs though, because as a result of these revitalization districts and the property tax abatements, we get less revenue. And I think he will be able to address that.
If you would like him to address that, or we can talk to the city about their plans and invite them back. And Mr. Mickey and the city can talk about that at the next meeting to share more information if that's of interest. It was some time ago when they were here.
Yeah, I looked that up because I had the same questions. It was on August 22nd. And there's a couple of slides. If you go back to that meeting and you'll see that for every dollar rebated, $8 are invested. But the new tax revenue as a result of increased tax valuation for US 501 is a potential increase of $12 million more as a result of what's invested in areas that needed. To your question about the Menningers, right? Where does it fall? There was a last slide, if we go back to what it says, the governing body can improve a dilapidated structure worthy of preservation outside of this particular area where they're focused on. So the Menninger clock tower falls into that sort of things that are outside of where we're wanting to invest in, but that are worthy of preserving. So you're right, it's not in our catchment area, it's not directly related, but there's a sense from the governing body that it's worthy to sort of save. So
if it's helpful, I can take that PowerPoint from when they presented previously in August and send that out on Friday to all the board members, just to remind you of the many different projects that they're tackling and the impact. And I believe, was that one of the projects, the walkway, or maybe not, because I know you sent me a picture and said the walkway is now in at Highland Park. Right in front of her building, the walkway that now students can safely pass through. That's one of those projects. But if you like, I can send you that PowerPoint as well.
I would, first thing to go is vision. I forget what the second is.
Well, it might be memory or not.
Medical opinion.
All right. Any other question? We're preparing to proceed with our next presentation, but if you'd like. for
We've
Mr.
got to vote on the table, Dr. Anderson. Dr. Bonebreak, you had two issues with the items for consent. One was 12.1 and the other was 15.1. It sounds like we may have addressed your concerns with 12.1.
And we're going to have more information regarding those two issues.
Okay, so you're fine with moving ahead with the vote?
Fine.
Okay, any other questions or comments from any of the other board members? Okay, let's move to a vote.
The vote is open. Yes, it closed itself. Now it's opening.
It was a different spot this time.
Mr. Munoz, do you want to vote by hand? Okay. Thank you. All votes are in and the motion carries.
Thank you. All right, superintendent's report.
We are so fortunate that we have Ms. Stubblefield to talk about Momentum 2027. And Ms. Wallace this week sent out the National Civics Bee to all of our schools, so they'll be participating and they'll be here to talk about that as well. Our new chamber president, man, she is all over the place in getting to know the community, being at TCAL today, being at T-High for principal for the day. So we are honored to have from the chamber president, Juliet Abdel, and we're going to turn it over to the two of them to talk about those two items.
Well, thank you, Dr. Anderson. Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Just a quick step back for those of you that may not be aware of the Greater Topeka Partnership. It is an entity that is designed for economic vitality in Topeka and Shawnee County. It's comprised of 4 organizations: Go Topeka, which is economic development; Visit Topeka, the Chamber, and Downtown Topeka. All 4 organizations also have subsidiary groups underneath us, but we all work together to move our region forward through a community strategy branded as Momentum 2027. I am not the expert on momentum. That is Michelle Stubblefield, and that's why she's with me this evening to go in detail on that. There was the National Civics Bee that was shared out with the board. This is a program underneath the chamber. And so I wanted to highlight this to you. There's no action that's required on it. We are taking the lead on going out to individual schools to share more about this with their principals. The districts that choose to participate in the program, we then have the Topeka Youth Commission that will be the boots on the ground to actually implement it. If you move forward to the next slide, you can see a little bit about the Chamber of Commerce. One slide back is designed for being the voice of business at city, county, state, and federal level. We do that through a robust legislative agenda, public policy efforts, and regulatory support for our business community. The next slide shows an affiliate organization of ours. That's why I took a step back and gave you about the organizations, and we have affiliate organizations. The affiliate organization Forge is underneath Go Topeka. Forge is the 18 to 40 years of age. They're younger professionals that are in the area that convene for social networking, to build themselves professionally, and of course to retain like talent in the community and area. So both organizations have kind of come together to create a local civics bee. And this is a part of a long-term strategy for the chamber, which is to have a civic engagement academy that builds the pipeline all the way from our youth to our high school students to college students into professionals and even existing adults in the community outside of just activating around voting. We want those engaged citizens. The next slide should share a little bit more about the Civics Bee, which is a national effort that has been released by the U.S. Chamber Foundation. The sole purpose behind it was that it was a nonpartisan initiative to engage 6th, 7th, and 8th graders through a fun way that they would want to learn more about civics and participate. And they do that by taking part in a local civics bee with the goal of moving into further rounds. This next slide that you all can see at a later point has the highlights of the actual civics bee from the previous year. And we can move forward one more. This shows you a little bit about the B structure process. I mentioned to you that it is a national effort, which basically means that a lot of the curriculum that we have for it and the way that we implement it follows a national level, but we make it feel and look like our local community that's here. It starts off with students participating in the program through essay submission. The essay submission really kicks off between this fall time period all the way into February. At that point, we then host a local civics bee competition. That's usually between March and April. And then the top 3 kiddos that come out of that program, you can move to the next slide, will then move into the state civics bee. At the state civics bee, they also compete with all the surrounding communities that have a local civics bee. There's only 6 in total across the state of Kansas. And then the top 3, again, winners that emerge from that are awarded. So in both levels, there's prize money that we provide to the kids. The first place winner at the state level then moves to the national level and competes nationwide. And then from that, they have 3 winners. And just to give you an idea, those 3 winners, it's from $25,50 to $100,000 that they receive. The $100,000 is actually in an education fund to try and get them to further their education once they've matured and gone through the regular school district that they're in. This next slide explains how the kids enter, which is a simple process of them submitting the essays. It's actually 3 essays in one submission. There's a privacy policy that their parents have to agree to, and then they submit that before the deadline in February. Before I get to this, I wanted to share that we have also received a grant to support students that want to participate that don't have devices and want to complete the essays at home. We've had a lot of questions to date from districts that I've already visited with. So I've met with about 4 in the last week, or our 5th one, with their principals first, and then with the school board. I think we flip-flopped it with TPS. But we are getting questions along the way, and I try to answer those questions in every presentation in case there are questions that come to your mind. The first was how many students we can have participate. Because we had received funding to go to our devices, we had set a minimum of 20, maximum of 40. Then I had a school district say, well, we already supply them with devices. Can they use it? The answer is yes. If you already supply them with devices, we would just need to have them access the information on that device to make sure it's comparable to what they need to have. We also received a question about what is the requirement of the classroom? Are they supposed to be teaching it in there and then they complete the essay? We said it probably would be great if you could do that, because when you have a captive audience, they're able to complete something as opposed to moving to the next thing and forgetting about it, but it's not mandatory. So this is supposed to be something that they can do in their own time when they feel like it. We also had a question about the essays in general and what the topics were. And the topic for this year is for them to define a problem or an opportunity in their community. That's the first essay. The second essay is how would you go about solving that problem? What organizations, stakeholders, nonprofit groups would you engage? And then the third essay that they would submit, of course, is for them to, so the first was a question, the second was the organ, like I'm already forgetting. And then the third one was, what's the third one? Oh my God, I'm blanking out. Oh, this founding principles. How does their solution match up to the founding principles of our nation? So those are the 3 essays. There is a guidebook that's provided to the kids and also to teachers if they want to be able to walk them through that as well. The ask that we're making to all the districts right now is for them to let us know if they want to participate. We'll then co-brand some of our marketing material or websites and information, ask for them to share it out. If there is a need for us to provide them with any devices or any information, then we also ask the individual schools to let us know. We'll have judges and volunteers, and that was also another question that came to mind, is how can the board or how can other schools outside of the middle school participate? That would be the way to do so, is through any of our volunteer opportunities. So with that, I want to turn some time over to Michelle Stubblefield to share about momentum. And if you all have any questions, maybe we can address those.
And as she comes up to share about Momentum 2027, very briefly, Mrs. Wallace, her office gets a lot of these requests. So the spelling bee, the history competition, the gifted competition, and all the other competitions in Topeka Public Schools, because we are so large, she's already shared that, of course, our teachers, this primarily comes to the gifted teachers, but also to all of our teachers. So of course, we want to do the National Civics Bee, just like the National Spelling Bee, just like the history competition and all the others. And so she's already sent that out in the principal update to all the principals to let them know that, to let us know who'd like to participate. And we encourage our young people to compete in any academic or art competition that's allowable. So that is normally how that's handled. So, but we still are excited to hear about the presentation here. But our principals have already shared there's an interest, and Ms. Wallace will be informing them as she normally handles all 40 or 50 different competitive local, state, and national competitive academic programs. Having said that, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Stubblefield, who's been busy talking to superintendents about Momentum 2027. And we know we have another presentation from our principals, but I'll turn it over to Ms. Stubblefield.
Well, I appreciate your time this evening. Again, Michelle Cuevas Stubblefield, Senior Vice President of Strategy for the partnership. What I bring to you today is Momentum 2027 Community Strategic Plan. It is a 5-year strategy. We are at day 691 of 1,825 days. Yes, that's how well we track it. What I can tell you is that with those 21 strategic initiatives, our overall hope for this community is greater hope, health, happiness, and prosperity for all. Much like the Greater Topeka Partnership, this is about equitable prosperity. So we are looking at things, and this is developed from a steering committee of the diverse representation of Topeka. And within that, those 21 are anywhere from greater hope, health, happiness, and prosperity in the fact that we are looking at housing. We are looking at career navigation, career opportunities. How does that interrelate with child cradle through career? We are looking at gateways. What does it look like when you enter into this community? With any of those 21 initiatives, what we are finding is Topeka has done a great job at asset mapping, understanding the resources that we currently have, where are the gaps, where are the opportunities, and what things that need to come into play. Greater Topeka Partnership serves as a gatekeeper. So this is the community strategy. This is your strategy. What we serve as, we either lead, leverage, collaborate, or convene leaders within this community to make sure that we are having furtherance on this strategy. So some exciting things that have come to play. I think with all the work that everybody has collectively done, the districts, businesses, families, nonprofits, all those involved in the community at large, both public and private, is with those asset maps, we're having a greater understanding of what the opportunities lie. Currently, we've got 75 more families in this community at an average salary of $89,000 through the Choose Topeka program. We have Washburn University with the highest enrollment rate in their history. We have we are seeing annually the uptick in greater household income, higher wage, larger GTP. We're just seeing those positive movements within this community. Some of the things that I want to share with you is with the ecosystem and all of it being with economic prosperity, we are seeing greater synergies between workforce opportunities, students opportunities, and then the opportunity for those connections to be made across the board. I was just looking at just constantly looking and see what's happening. When you have TCalc, which is just a stellar that continues to produce some amazing kids. You have Southwest Topeka with a brand new innovation center. You have Boys and Girls Club now opening a center for workforce skills. That is the ecosystem that is resulting from Momentum 2027's collaboration and this community's ability to collaborate in this community so that our kids have a brighter future and hopefully stay here in this community and continue to support its success.
And it's important to remember that the Momentum 2027, Mr. Tatum asked to make sure we have these folks here tonight. So that's part of what allowed the invitation to be extended overall. But with this group, our strategic plan is aligned to the Momentum 2027 plan. So the cradle to career, the college readiness, reducing homelessness, you're going to see similar language. Dr. New was a key player in the cradle to career pipeline. I was as well. And then she continued that work with the talent pipeline for teachers. So we're excited to see that we have more healthier communities surrounding our schools as a result of the Momentum 2027 plan and the plans before that. And we're looking forward to continued partnership. And we're glad that you suggested that we give that update because we have not done that in recent time. Any questions for either of these, knowing that we will be doing the National Civics Bee through Ms. Wallace's office, principals are already signing up, and knowing that our strategic plan will continue to be aligned in Momentum 2027.
All right. Board members, Mrs. Bowley.
So one of the problems we do have is the cost of housing in Topeka has really grown in the last 2 to 3 years, which is affecting our students. Can you give me some idea of what all of the organizations that you work with here are considering around affordable housing so our students can stay in one home?
There are a number in 22, that the city government actually has a housing strategy. They're in year 4, I think year 3 or 4 of that, and they're getting ready to do another one. Within that time, there have been a number of incentives, development. We now have RHID, which is rural housing development, which a number of developers are now taking advantage of. And we're beginning to see the fruits of that labor with more development coming into play. We also have a housing task force advocacy, which takes those now professionals in the industry and having them also have a say in and providing consult into, okay, what is our full ecosystem of housing? We need the attainable, we need the affordable, we also need that mid-level, which is actually the biggest group of gap that we have, and then also that higher level to make sure that we're bringing in the workforce and retaining the workforce. So there's a full ecosystem, and like I said, I think you're going to see in this next year and a half a lot of that work coming into play with more housing.
Other questions, Mr. Munoz?
I've been involved with this in different ways for a long time, but I'll be out here soon. And so my question is, I think read recently that 501 is the 3rd largest employer in Shawnee County. So we have a big role and a big impact in here. What are there processes in place to make sure that 501, given its impact in Shawnee County, continues to have a voice in Momentum 2027 or any of the other works that you're doing?
Yes, this is really about, well, it's 501 in Shawnee County. It is a Topeka strategy. We also think about how does that work within Shawnee County as well, but because this is the center and the capital city, this is really the area that receives a lot of that focus. And leadership from across the board, Dr. Anderson, Dr. Ahrens have all been involved in that initial strategy, and then that constant communication of making sure that everybody is aware and what their opportunities are to stay involved. Chances are, if you live in Topeka and your goals align with any part of this strategy, you may not realize it, but you're involved in it.
No, it's wonderful that Ms. Stubblefield asked for us to turn in our plan. She had to pull teeth in some district. She didn't have to pull our teeth because she asked for the plan for the cradle to career plan. What's going on with college readiness? I think we sent ours within a day or two of getting her a full developed comprehensive plan, because then they can actually include that within their plan and the conversation is continuous. So while she's still asking others for a plan and a respond, our response is immediate because we recognize that collectively we move the city forward. So thank you both.
Thank you.
For all
Thank
that
you.
you're doing.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you both being here. All right, Dr. Anderson.
We have one final item, and I'm gonna tell you, every time Ms. Watson comes, it is the latest meeting we've ever had. So as it's almost 8 o'clock, Mrs. Watson and Ms. Curry and Mr. Hager are gonna come on up. I think we have a brief PowerPoint as well. We're so excited. We are getting ready to open. In fact, I'll have Ms. Watson start about the newcomers program. It's really Ms. Curry who will probably give the overview, but I know that Ms. Watson is bubbling over with excitement, and I know that when she gets done, if you want to leave before they finish, you feel free, just in case they go on at 9 o'clock. So you go right on ahead, Ms. Watson, and share. But truly, she's excited about her new program. If she can, Ms. Curry, just kind of kick that off. Mr. Hakes always had a newcomer program, if you didn't know that. But Ms. Watson, this is first. And in having the conversation and realizing our high schooler newcomers, they have no program. So that's needed to be fixed. Dr. Bonebreak, that is the blessing and the challenge that you brought up, what's going on with high school, and that led to the questions, which led to what we can do about it. So can you share a little bit about what you're doing about it?
Yes, we're really excited to have this because I would say pretty much weekly, we're getting anywhere from 2 to 3 newcomers into our building. And we need this program. So I was beyond excited when they said that we were going to have this at Highland Park High School. If any of you have met Miss Labrador, if you haven't, you need to come meet Miss Labrador because she is a rock star and she loves every one of those babies when they come in. She has a Scott's time with seminar time and she refuses for anyone else to have these kids but her. And so when you go in, there's like standing room practically because she wants all of them. They are all her babies. So what we're doing now is we are just now hiring for a second position. We have one of our ELL classrooms that is connected to another classroom where our new staff member will be working. So all of our students that are coming in for the first time to the United States, they are predominantly Spanish speaking only. And we are working on building our sheltered program so that when they're going through their classes, they have EL support in all of their contents, because that has been a struggle for a lot of our students that are coming in from other countries. So we are so grateful to be like the school for our newcomers. I know you have more to share, but please, we ask you that you come and visit us and see what we're creating out there.
So she shared she gets like 2 people every week. Did you get 2 people this week?
We got 3.
So really, literally, this is really something and wonderful. Mr. Hager, real briefly from a school end, and seriously, sometimes high school does have stuff late at night, so I wanted her to speak first. But since we're starting with the school first, and then Ms. Curry, like a school mama, she's gonna wrap this all up with what we're doing as an overview. You wanna share a little bit about what happens at Jardine?
Yes, Jardine Middle School has been home to the newcomer program in the middle school level for several years now. We currently have our students who are brand new to the United States or fairly new to the United States who have little to no English fluency whatsoever, who come to Jardine for their education, primarily in language arts, writing and speaking. They're serviced by a certified ESOL teacher, one certified ESOL teacher and one bilingual para. And then they get their math and their other classes included in with the other students with bilingual para support. We currently have 33 students this year in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, and we have 8 different Spanish-speaking countries that are represented. So we're excited. You're always welcome to come over and see the program that Miss Calvin is putting on right now. She's doing some amazing things with our students.
And you actually need additional staff as well, because you're really
we're
30 or so
pushing the boundaries on everything. So yes, we do.
All right, thank you, and then we'll turn it over to Ms. Curry.
Thank you, Dr. Anderson. So if you want to go ahead and go to that first slide, and I'll kind of do a brief overview. So who are our newcomers? Newcomers who qualify for the newcomer program are any students who have arrived into the United States and speak little or no English from January 1st of last year on. So those are our qualifiers. And our objectives are, of course, English proficiency and academic success leading to graduation, and social integration. We'll make sure that the kids are expanding outside of just their cohorts in that to have social integration, and then family outreach. And just some examples of family outreach that we offer is, of course, the Welcome Center, Quinton Heights, where we have bilingual staff. We have families calling us all the time or just stopping by. I need a doctor. What's the best hospital to go to? Can I get some clothes? How can I even start talking about getting a job? We need a vehicle. Can you help? I mean, I've actually had people in my building go to their houses and take them to the bus station and ride the bus to the city with them just to show them the ropes on how that works. We also have a bilingual, go ahead and go back one more thing. We have a bilingual student and family liaison, Mrs. Cortez, and she offers her services throughout the whole district. Excuse me, for our families who need anything. Maybe the student has excessive absences. She'll go to the house. She'll meet with the family. She has even met them during lunch at work and that kind of thing, try to solve problems. If they have things they need, we had one student call her actually because he broke his Chromebook and he didn't know what to do and he was just panic stricken. And she said, "Yeah, it's fine. Your principal's going to understand. Your teacher's going to understand." She went with them back to school. She explained what happened. So just any kind of services we can do. And then, of course, parent education nights. We have extended those now. We used to always do 2 a year. Now we do 4 a year. Our next one's coming up on December 6th. I believe you guys all got an invitation. We hope you can come. It's a real big social event of the year. Our enrollment went down significantly after COVID. Last year, we were able to get our attendance back up to 275. So we're hoping to exceed 300, which was our biggest number ever. So as far as how these students get there, if you are a newcomer in middle school or high school, and you are enrolled in the newcomer center and you live 1.75 miles or further, you will get transportation. And that's high school too. I think that's pretty much it. I'd just like to open up to any questions you have. The one at Jardine, the newcomer program at Jardine, I started advocating for that my first year here in 2009. We opened that one in 2011. And I really have to say, if your question is what makes the program successful, it's administration. Because I can remember when I first proposed this idea, Mr. Hare called me and said, "I want it at Jardine. Bring it here. I've got 2 classrooms for you. I'll get you the help. We'll make sure to get the professional development to the teachers that need it." Mr. Hague has been exactly the same the whole way through, has always been supportive, and same with Mrs. Watson. So I know that this is going to be successful because that's a make it or break it for a building.
And the teachers.
Yeah, well, of course, the teachers,
Because
but
Ms. Labrador she said,
Oh,
I
yeah.
want 30 kids. I said,
Yes.
she said, I
Yeah.
want to open tomorrow. That's literally what happened. And so
It is.
I saw her last night and she said, I had my 28 babies and she was
Yeah.
dancing in the hallway.
Mhm.
So that makes the
Yes.
principals and the teachers.
Yes, and
staff.
our staff at Topeka High, if you want to go back to that, I can't remember, I think it's the second slide. We have 2 bilingual EL teachers currently at Highland Park High. We have 2 bilingual paras at Highland Park High. Our social worker. Well, I've actually hired and in place. We have someone actually in a sub position that started yesterday. That is starting that 3rd position that we're looking for. What we really wanted to have in place is a sheltered instruction class. And then we have a office staff that's bilingual. We have social worker that's bilingual. So everything's really in place to make this program a success. So
We're going to open this up for questions.
Questions from board members? Mrs. Bowley.
So this might be for Mr. Hague, since your program's been in place for a while, or Ms. Ariza, but how many of the students come that have had educational background before they arrive to us?
It varies a lot. Recently, we've seen an influx in students who haven't been in school for a while. One I can remember a couple years ago hadn't been in school since 2nd grade. And when they come here, they're still learning the basics. So we have a variety of students at many different levels of not only just their own language proficiency, but hardly any English. And they're still learning their phonics. They're still learning their letters. They're still learning their numbers. We have some that can speak Spanish, but they cannot read and write in Spanish, which creates another barrier that we're trying to overcome. So It just varies depending on where they're coming from and the educational system that they're coming from.
So how are our instructors actually meeting all of those challenges? I mean, those are tremendous challenges within the classroom. So our beautiful lady at Highland Park going, I want all 33. That's like, what?
So she's built it into her ESL program that she's working on. So there are some that will come in and they have never even touched a computer. But she has them broken up into groupings to where she knows that this group may need to be learning on basics on computer steps before they can start to type on them or written skills. But a lot of it is relationships with the students and whoever they're living with. So it is on an individual basis. She gets to know them very quickly, and then she works on each need. I mean, but they also are with her 3 times a day. So they're in foundations, which is a double blocked class. And then they also have her in Scott time. So she has them 3 times a day, which gives her a lot more time with them than every other student.
And I'm assuming that the same challenges, oh, I'm so sorry I interrupted you.
No, I was just gonna say, and Mrs. Labrador has been doing this for a long time. She's
Oh, that's
really
great.
experienced at doing, this is not her first go around. When I was working at KU School of Ed in 2003, and I would come work with Highland Park High, she was there, so, yeah.
And so I'm assuming these same challenges are within their families as well. Maybe being able to speak Spanish, but not being able to write or read or.
So that's also why we have a lot more family nights with them. And they're so community strong and driven that she contacts, some of the major families, and I mean, they all come out, all of them. So we are very specific when we create our parent nights to ensure that we're doing some that are specifically for these students and their families. And then also one thing that we've added in, so she has them all for Scott time. And what I started to do is go up there and work with her on their needs. So culturally, they don't speak up. So when there's struggles that they have, they're not going to say anything. They're just going to live and deal with it. So we're working on advocacy with them. So I go into the classroom during Scott time and we're working on what their needs are. And we have to push a little, but since I'm starting to get up there frequently, now they're getting more comfortable and their lists are getting bigger. So they're saying, when I'm in this classroom, it would be nice if, or when I go to do this, it would be nice if. So we're starting to get them to advocate for themselves so that we know how to support them in the classroom.
Well, public education is pretty special, and 501's even more special. So thank you for doing all of this. It's just so important for our community. Our ladies have left, but that momentum that we're putting these successful citizens out into our society is tremendous. So thank you for all your extra support of that.
Mr. Munoz.
So I just want to make sure I understand this program correctly. So anyone who's new, any students who show up, they're being sent to, let's talk about high school students, sent everybody to Highland Park. Okay, there's nobody, anyone who might fall into this category doesn't go to Topeka High if they live closer to Topeka High or Topeka West, or how does that work in terms of place?
Correct, and that just started. So like Ms. Curry said, there's busing that will bring them over. This week, we had our first 3 that came into the district, and they have all come to Highland Park High School. So we are very particular when they come in. We make sure that we have schedules that are hand done for them. So it's not you just enroll in what classes you like. We have to be very specific on what teachers we put them with and who their Scott time is, and where we just sit down and spend a lot more time on those schedules. So yes, they all come to Highland Park.
And so any students who fit this description of who qualify for this, if they're at other high schools, they stay at their high school, Topeka High or Topeka West, or
Mrs.
do
Curtin
they?
will talk about that
Yeah.
because there's not a newcomer program, and
Yeah.
that's the issue at any high school. So Topeka High had 9 students, which Mrs. Curry offered that we're starting a newcomer program. Would you like those services? They declined, and they didn't want those. Maybe one person did who said they'll come at maybe second semester or something to that.
We have 2 at Topeka West. We have one family at Topeka West that said they're very interested, but they want their daughter to be able to finish out the semester. Everyone we visited with at Topeka High chose not to leave. So, and we're reevaluating at semester, visiting, we're continuing to visit with the parents to see if it's something that might want to change their mind second semester, but that'll be their last opportunity to do that, as they won't be newcomers next fall.
So similarly, if they go to other middle schools, we have this newcomer program at Jardine. And a person could say, no, I live down the street from this middle school. I want to go there. But here's what we're doing for Topeka High. We are hiring another. We have actually extended an opportunity for another person to start there, because having a bilingual person, and right now Mrs. Curry has one of her other teachers supporting Topeka High in some way, because even when it's not a newcomer program, these students are still with us. They're in class. We want them to have support. It's not newcomer, but it's still a teacher that has perhaps greater skill and ability than others in this area. Does that help you understand that there's one newcomer at Jardine, one at Highland Park, but you can go to any school you'd like to go to. You just wouldn't have the newcomer program access.
You wouldn't have that additional support if you elect to come and be part of this program at Jardine or at Highland Park.
Correct. You'll have that added support. And what we're adding to Topeka High is just because the numbers are so large and they've grown, that extra teacher, again, not necessarily newcomer, but we're trying to open at least another space just to relieve some of the pressure on teachers who don't have any newcomer or EL certification to be able to truly serve some of these students who would benefit.
Thank you all for your work.
I just like that. I'm very happy to hear about the Highland Park. Most of my kids at Jardine, I'd say about 90% of them, due to their address, whether it's Eisenhower Chase, they naturally feed into Highland Park. So it was actually a nice transition to move to keep that continuity with them. So.
Okay. Excellent. Anyone else?
That concludes our presentation.
All right. Thank you so much.
Oops, sorry. Thank you.
Great program. Keep up the great work. All right. And I think, so we had newcomers program also as a discussion item, but I think we already had the discussion.
We did.
So the next item on the agenda is action items. And looks like there's one action item for us to approve. So I'm looking for a motion to do exactly that.
I move the board approve the course changes as presented and discussed at the last meeting on November 7th, 2020.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Schumacher. Dr. Bonebreak seconds. Any further discussion? All right, we'll go to a vote.
Open. Are you all seeing it?
No.
No?
Okay, now,
What the heck?
slow tonight.
Different location.
It's slower than me. All votes are in and the motion carries. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, so folks, that takes us down to board member comments. So that means we are getting close to the end of our meeting tonight. I think, Dr. Bonebreak, I think we'll start with you.
The finance committee met and 54% of
Dr. Bonebreak.
this one doesn't.
Thank you, sir.
Finance committee met. 54% of the Kansas budget goes to public education. And of course, the legislature is trying to kill public education. We don't realize the ramifications of that. But with the budget surplus of $1.5 billion, the governor and the legislature is trying to eliminate that by easing up property tax. And so we probably have at least 2 more years before there's going to be some budgetary concerns. But over the next 2+ years, we look solid. Merry Christmas. I'm done.
Okay. And on that note, Dr. Beeson.
Thought there might be more. I'll second Dr. Bumbrick's legislative concerns. I have not had any committee meetings recently. I think both of my committees have been delayed till December. I did have the opportunity to attend my first graduation ceremony at the Juvenile Detention Center, which was incredibly powerful for me. 2 young men have graduated with their high school diplomas. And in addition to, I think, the weight of what that meant, it was really beautiful to see the celebration. They each were willing to speak to those of us there, provide comments that were very insightful and hopeful. Incredible supports around them. I was so impressed. And they each got to bring 4 friends to witness their graduation. And Dr. Anderson talked to each of those young men about the individuals graduating. And it was just very impressive, the feedback they had about their friends. Their phrases like emotionally intelligent were used, which we are all hoping all young men will become emotionally intelligent, or 35, 40. But anyway, it was a lovely experience and I wish them both the very best. And I think that's all I have to report.
Right. Mrs. Bowley.
Our technology committee has been postponed, so we'll give you a feedback on that at next meeting. We had our personnel. We are in very good shape, but if there's anybody out there that would like to be a substitute teacher for our district, we are hiring. And we would love to have any of those 2 participants on our screen. Yeah, like for you to apply for these jobs. And, we are still struggling with getting educators in our classroom, but we're doing so much better. We have 11 people who are in our Grow Your Own that have qualified for the state supported program. And we're really excited about that. Our district gives them lots of support to try to help them be successful. The blue ribbon screen time was presented to the state school board. I don't know if anybody happened to watch it, but as just recommendations. But one of the things that they were recommending was that there's a bell to bell on cell phones. And of course, that isn't our policy, but that would be one thing that could be recommended. And another thing was concern around the amount of time education has students on screen time. Sometimes up to 11 hours a day. So, recommendations of things that school boards can think about, and the state school board will be talking about that at the next meeting. I got to go to this Kansas Association of School Boards conference. I wanted to thank the district for that learning opportunity. I wanted to thank our TPS team who presented there. Mrs. Dick, Mrs. Wallace, and Dr. Anderson created a great presentation to address some things that other districts can do to get their community involved and raise scores. And they just did a really wonderful job. I also wanted to thank Dr. Anderson for presenting at Washington, D.C., the panel for equity, and I don't remember the rest of the title of the committee that you presented to.
I was on the teacher shortage and special education, but it was the Office of Civil Rights.
There we go. Office of Civil Rights. I can tell you that she mentioned Topeka Public Schools 12 times. And so she is one of our best advocates in Topeka Public Schools, at Topeka Public Schools. We are from Topeka Public Schools. And these are the changes we're seeing in Topeka Public Schools. And they had some great questions for her. She did such a nice job. Thank you, Dr. Anderson. Wanted to thank Mrs. Ritter for Principal of the Day. She did such a nice job presenting our school and our school system, our labs. She just did a beautiful job welcoming us and sharing with one of our future representatives at the State House of all the great things they're doing there and the challenges in education. Also, I wanted to thank Dr. Anderson for telling me about Dr. Reeves coming and presenting to our principals. We just give our principals and our teachers just quality professional development. That's why other districts want our teachers, give back. We're training them for us. But very good PD talking about being fearless leaders and doing what you know is right for your students. So I just want to thank our district for all that we do to make ourselves the best district in the area. Hands down.
Mr. Munoz.
We had our policy meeting scheduled for Monday, but it's been postponed until next week on Monday. So we'll give you at our next meeting an update on policy committee work. I also attended the school board conference this past weekend. I attended a couple of things. One was engaging non-English speaking families. We're not the only school district that is encountering new students showing up in their classrooms. And so listening to other school districts and how they are engaging and working on closing gaps between families and school districts, it was interesting to hear at my next one-on-one with Dr. Anderson. I'll share some of those, as well as I'll write that up, my notes, if I can decipher them, and email that to the rest of you all here so you can have that. I also attended a session on connecting the dots between bridging the needs, strategies, budgets, and also with KESA 2.0, which is an updated version of the state program. The accreditation process. And so I took away from that session my desire to be more involved in the process of how we go about to identify needs in our school districts, as well as sort of how that connects to strategy and how that connects to budget. Dr. Anderson, when we meet next, I'll sort of be talking about what might be my best place to sort of get more involved in just understanding as those meetings take place. And we all should sort of have a clear vision of how needs connects to strategy, which connects to budget, to be able to make sure our students are successful. We approve this, our building needs every year, and we also approve our budget, but we should have an understanding of how all connects those pieces.
So that we reallocate our funds.
So we're making sure our budget is addressing exactly, our budget addresses our biggest needs. So principal for a day, I was at Highland Park Central with Ms. Abernathy, as well as a couple of others, Ms. Annette Wiley, which I think you all know well here, as well as Miss Blue, who was a student who was the #1 fundraiser for Highland Park Central. So this student was second grader, was a principal for a day as well, along with me. And so she has a bright future. She was sharp and witty and just oozed self-confidence. So it was great to sort of have her join us as a principal for a day. And, you know, the last thing I'll just say is that principals do, as well as educators that work in our classrooms, do an incredible amount, and they bring energy. Ms. Abernathy, I'll just share these two things. Couple of things that the school is doing is that they have weekend snacks, because the unfortunate truth is that our students deal with hunger when they're not in classrooms, and that weekend snacks, a bag that they leave home with every Friday to take them on the weekend to address that was, I think, touched me, as well as starting up Stugo at their school there at Highland Park Central. Our students have potential for being incredible leaders. And when you create these opportunities to have students sort of self-select and to sort of rise up, I think that's an amazing thing to see. And I met some incredible students today as principal for a day.
Dr. Schumacher.
That's great, Mr. Munoz. I would echo Ms. Boley, Happy American Education Week. The school highlights tonight, you know, it was great to honor the students, our staff, our community members, who are also our staff. But you know, there was this theme of like instilling confidence and how powerful that is. I think personally and professionally, like being able to show kids that they can do hard things can be one of the most impactful things in their life, and the way that the people in our district do and that we highlighted tonight was great. I am on the postponed technology committee and the personnel, so Ms. Boley covered that. I was unable to do principal for a day just because of recent work commitments, and I was also doing the career fair at Jardine on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday mornings, which was a great way to meet more students where they were at and try to be able, there was lots of different representatives there, and it was a good thing that Mr. Falk and Mr. Barber put on. But I do appreciate the staff and the principals allowing the disruption in their day to help show us, but also show those important community members what it's like in our schools on a day-to-day basis. It continues to be theater and band and orchestra and choir and music program season. We are moving into that some more. Miss Irwin sent out the fine arts newsletter today, and there are lots of programs in there. So if you have a free night, and this weekend, starting tonight, one of my children is helping out with Topeka High's second production. They had one last weekend too, but Hadestown is this weekend. So we are excited about that. And finally, Ms. Boley, the screen time is interesting because I also feel as an adult, I've been on a screen from 7:30 this morning to 8:30 tonight. There is some, you know, it's not that we can ignore it and it'll go away, and then when they're 18, they will magically know how to use these devices responsibly. And so it you know, definitely still more work to do, but I do hope we continue to revisit our policy and look at that, you know, through this year and then definitely by next year. So we're ready for the next school year. Thank you.
Right. Well, I've had a very busy past couple of weeks. I guess I'll start with the fact that as Dr. Bonebreak mentioned, we did have finance committee. So he filled everybody in on that. Mr. Munoz mentioned that we did not have policy committee. We've moved that to Monday. So as he said, more to come on that. I had the opportunity to finally attend my very first Intergovernmental Cooperation Council meeting. So that was this past Tuesday at 7:20 a.m., 7:20 in the morning. But we met at the new Bob Dole Law School building at Washburn University. Dr. Anderson and I were both there. And one of the things that we did as a part of that meeting was took a tour of the facility. It is amazing. It's outstanding. Light years beyond the old law school building, located on the other end of the campus. This is, you know, much more modern with a lot of windows that let a lot of light in and things like that. So that was a very good investment of my early morning this week. And I'm looking forward to the next meeting that they're going to have in January. It won't be there. It'll be somewhere else, but looking forward to it. I, like Mrs. Boley and Mr. Munoz, attended the KASB conference in Wichita last weekend. Between the three of us, I think we all went to 3 different sessions, which is good because we got different experiences. And I am still waiting for some handouts and other information from some of the presenters to come out. As soon as that reaches me, I will, and I've asked in some cases, can you please send me this information? I'd love to share it with my other board members. So as that information becomes available, I'll distribute it to you all. But some of the things that I sat in on, there was a session on navigating unity, blueprint of a strong school board culture. That was really good. There was one for preparing for negotiations. Even though board members are fortunate enough in this school district to not have to sit on negotiations teams, it is very good for us to understand the knowledge about negotiations and what goes into that and what the processes are. I'd really like to explore this a little bit more as a board as we go forward, because I don't think all of us were as plugged into negotiations this past summer as I really felt like we could have been. So I think there may be some opportunities moving forward for us to learn a bit more about doing exactly that. There was another conference or another session at the conference called Stay Safe, Social Media Best Practices for Board of Education Members. And that was very enlightening, talking about, how you interact on social media, as a school board member or another elected official. And as you interact with folks online, are you speaking on your own behalf? Are you speaking on behalf of the office that you occupy? Or, how do you avoid some of the pitfalls associated with those things? And so it was very, very enlightening. And then most importantly, or as importantly, there was the ratification of the new updates to the KASB bylaws. You might recall we approved those changes. Mrs. Boley did a very good job of taking us through those changes a couple of months ago. As I was sitting in the meeting, as we were going through as a very large group, what those changes were, I was very grateful for her enlightening us, because I already knew everything that they were talking about. So there was everything that we came across in terms of gleaning over the material. I was already knowledgeable. So thank you, Mrs. Boley, again for helping us understand that a lot more. And so all those changes that we approved, the greater body of school boards approved as well. For Principal for a Day, today I was at Chase Middle School, and I was with Mrs. Spalding, who was really very gracious and was a fabulous host in helping me and Representative Kirk Haskins, who was also visiting Chase. He and I were very much blessed by the interactions that we had with the students and other educators, and understanding what was happening. And I have to mention, because I mentioned it on line after the meeting when we all came together after the Principal for a Day event. But I want to say that one of the most fantastic experiences that I have ever seen in a math classroom happened today. And I mean, it's a matter of course for them, but for me, it was very different, because I saw a teacher that was facilitating his students as they broke up into groups and scattered throughout the different parts of the room. And they were designing problems, they were working through it, and testing their peers, and then they would switch and go to other areas. And that's how they were doing their lesson. That's how they were learning about principles of algebra. It was outstanding. It wasn't boring. It was engaging. Pretty much everybody, all students were thoroughly engaged in this process. So that was really, really awesome. So thank you again to Mrs. Spalding for helping me to be very much enlightened from that experience at Chase today. I think that's, tomorrow I have the good fortune of being invited to go to Whitson Elementary to read a book to some of the students who are there. I can't wait. I'm so looking forward to that. And I think with that, that is all that I brought to share with my colleagues. So at this point, we are looking for a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I move the meeting adjourned.
Do we have a second for that motion? Mrs. Boley seconds. Any further discussion on the motion? All right, seeing none, let's vote. Hand raise. All in favor of the motion, raise your hand.
Motion carries.
The motion carries. Okay, thanks, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.